John, let's just get into it here. Where is Dante Moore through 4 weeks? He's really got he's got the starting role. They're going to the biggest game of the season. Where is he?
Dante Moore looks like one of the best quarterbacks in the country after 4 weeks of this season. He continues to, it seems like, get better and kind of learn and improve things throughout from week to week. He's still taking those easy routes underneath, but then you can see today they dialed up a couple of deep shots that he wasn't able to hit. There was one that Malik Benson, he looked like he was streaking wide open. Dante checked it down on that one. There was one to Dorian Moore that they looked like he could have potentially hit with a little more loft under it, but he's doing everything really well right now. And then eventually they do get to that deep shot later in that game, hit Gary Bryant on one for a big 50-yard touchdown. Good to see Gary Bryant being able to get some of those vertical routes downfield for a guy who, I don't know what it looks like. The last time I checked it, his ADOT, his average depth of target, was like 2-3 yards from the line of scrimmage. He's just been getting a bunch of work on screen passes. So good to see him, kind of get some of that work down the field, be able to stretch things out vertically because he does have a lot of speed. But just going back to overall where I'm at with this game, I was really impressed by the way that the Ducks were able to kind of turn things on, like you said, after that first quarter. Yeah. Like you mentioned, just 25 rushing yards for Oregon State after that first quarter, and that's what really stood out to me. Just the way that Oregon was able to completely shut them down, kind of after that first quarter, and that's what I asked Bryce Betcher about after the game. It's what I asked Dan Lanning about after the game, and both of them responded that, hey, we just started playing our ball after that. We got kind of focused in a little bit, played more technical with some of the technique and stuff like that. But it was just Oregon getting back to their game, and I was surprised after how kind of slow it felt like this thing started off that it really was able to end up in a blowout where these stats did not look close. I was really surprised, obviously, at how bad it ended up being from Malik Murphy on the completion percentage front. But it's statistically across the board, Oregon dominates this game, and that's really what it didn't look like. It didn't look like that through that first quarter. So really excited by the way these Ducks turned things up after that.
Yeah, I was really impressed. We talk about how much Dante's matured as a player, and you hear it in the way he talks, but how he was able to bounce back from mistakes. And I felt like that was what really set him apart from Malik Murphy, because Malik would miss a deep shot and then get too scared to check it down and just keep trying and keep missing. And that's how you end up with 28% completion. Dante really was able, and this is credit to the Will Stein scheme as well, and how well he understands his quarterback. But the fact that he's able to, miss Malik Benson by 2 or 3 yards on that second drive of the game, and then come back and the first drive and hit Dorian Moore back shoulder with a fantastic throw. It happened. They get into 3rd and 8 in the second quarter. He's missed a couple guys. He missed Gary Bryant on a drag, and then he comes back and an unbelievable, probably 40-yard crossfield ball that hits Malik Benson right in the hands to convert. Then he hits Kenyon Sadiq again. He hits Benson again. It's the fact that he's able to rebound from missing these throws. And somebody asked Dan Lanning about it, and he was like, well, he threw for 300 yards. So he was good. But I was really interested to hear what he would have said at that, because I feel like that's really a credit to what Dante's done and how he's evolved.
No, I'd agree. Today was the most shaky that Dante has looked in terms of his just general accuracy. He had the interception last week, but that was more of a situation where he was trying to throw into the wind, trying to throw a deep ball into the wind at Northwestern, a situation that really just wasn't really favorable to him. But he was a little shakier in terms of he did miss some guys on some shorter throws, missed some guys on some intermediate throws that he hadn't missed in previous weeks. But like you said, to be able to bounce back from those and not let them kind of settle with him and sit with him long term, be able to just immediately reset. Hey, okay, next one, we're going to hit our receiver. We're going to work the ball downfield, and the completion percentage ends up a little lower than where those other games are at, but he's still moving the ball just fine. And all the efficiency marks that you really want to be looking at, stuff like yards per attempt, he's still right on track with where he's been through the early parts of the season as one of the most efficient passers in the country.
Yeah, I was curious because you don't see him miss a lot of receivers. Like he'll hit guys and he'll have too much zip on it, or like the Moore one where there was just not quite enough arc and he hit him in the hands, but it's a tough one to catch. But he was kind of missing guys a little bit today. Are you concerned about that, or does that just feel like something that maybe today was just an off day?
No, what was that?
Is that something that concerns you at all, or is it?
No,
it's not.
No, I think he can figure out that pass specifically, but I don't think that's a long term. It's not an issue. It's an issue you're considering. the accuracy isn't an issue that I really consider for him, because we have seen him demonstrate so many times on that Malik Benson touchdown a couple weeks ago, on hitting him on the sideline last week, on hitting people like guys like Dante Moore and Benson today on the back shoulder. I was impressed by his accuracy again. It continues to be a big part of his game, and a big part of what all of the Oregon quarterbacks have done recently under Will Stein and under Kenny Dillingham in this Dan Lanning system. They all like to get the ball out on time, get it out accurately, and distribute to your playmakers. And Dante has done that really well. And then when those shots have been there, he's been able to take them and really stretch this offense out and turn it into something explosive.
Yeah. Something else that guys like Bo and Dylan Gabriel really understood. It felt like under Kenny and Will Stein is when to scramble. They weren't big runners. They weren't guys where you'd really design an option to go. But they understood when they could escape the pocket and go get 10 or 15 or 20 yards. And that's exactly what Dante Moore did a couple times a day. I think it's a career high, 53 yards rushing.
Yeah, it was. And that's 53 yards.
That feels like something he learned, right? And plus,
that's 53 yards. That's 53 yards with a sack too on there, a 9-yard sack first of the season. Exactly, first of the season to go against Oregon. But like you said, he was just scrambling on, doing a good job at when the pocket was collapsing around him, being able to navigate within it to find that lane out of it for the most part. I'd have to rewatch what exactly happened on that sack. I think it came off the right side, off of Alex Harkey's side at tackle. But like he for the most part, Dante did a really good job at stepping up into the pocket where he needed to, and then from there being okay, here's a lane out of it, and I can go take off. And he got 17 on one carry on a scramble. He got 28 on the big one down the sideline that looked like he could have gotten more if he had gotten a better block from Sadiq. But really good job by Dante. And just like he said after the game, just being a playmaker when he has to. Coach Lanning has encouraged it from him, and he admits that he's not the fastest player ever out there, that they're not designing those kind of run plays for him. But he's a football player, and he makes football plays when he has to, and able to pick up a couple. That 28-yard scramble came for him on the 2-minute drill drive to end the first half. Yep. Oregon now 4 for 4 in those situations. I think that's obviously they haven't been faced with a lot of challenging situations yet so far this season, but those are that's situational football that you have to play that will get you ready for those times where you are backed up against teams like Penn State and you do have to have must-have it drives. Oregon's 4 for 4 for those on early this season. I think that's really encouraging to see, and just how comfortable Dante does look operating the offense at those end of halves, be able to move them in those short time situations.